All right, guys, this is the review for quiz number 2. And you are going to take this quiz as soon as you finish going over this review. And you can use this on your quiz, okay? You want to use this worksheet while you're taking your quiz. So take the notes, watch carefully. I believe these, if you need the review, are on ISN 39A and 39B, maybe, are the pages you should be using to remind yourself. But it just wants this most specific name. This one is a kite. This is a 4 equal sides. Okay. This one had 2 equal and another set equal over here. This one is a rhombus. This has no mark, so it's a generic quadrilateral. This one has, we're going a little fast here. This one has 1 pair of parallel sides, but you don't know anything about the other 2 sides, so it's a plain trapezoid. If you had a mark on either of those 2 sides or both of those 2 sides, marking them the same, it would be an isosceles trapezoid. So be careful which is which. Down here you have all the sides are parallel, so this is a parallelogram. And then we got to decide, is this a rectangle or a square over here? Well, because these are marked differently than these, it is a rectangle. Okay? Again, refer to pages 39A and B in your spiral. You should have those all marked, and so those should be easy points. Remember, you can pause this video if you need more time on this slide. All right, then we have a quick review of properties of parallelograms. Remember, the big deal is that opposite angles are congruent. Opposite sides are also congruent. But that consecutive angles here and here add up to 180. They're consecutive, means they are supplementary. All right, so on this picture, those are opposite of each other, so they are congruent. And if you just want to write down the equation and you don't want to solve it, that's up to you because you're going to have to solve it on the quiz. But for this lesson, for the purpose of reviewing for the quiz, as long as you know you're supposed to set them equal, the numbers won't be the same on the quiz anyway. All right, this is the one where they're consecutive. As long as they're right next to each other as you go around, they add up to 180. So again, if you just want to write down the equation, that's fine. If you want to solve it, you would get x equals 10. So if you plugged it back in, you'd have 130 and 10. So just make sure that you have down when they're equal and when they add up to 180. All right, this one is talking about sides, guys. Not angles, it's not inside at the corners, so they're just equal to each other straight across. So if you add 3 here, you get x equals 11. All right. Now we're talking trapezoids. This has not been on a quiz yet. There are 2 kinds of trapezoids. In a generic trapezoid where you don't have equal sides, what you know is that these are consecutive, which means they add up to 180, and these add up to 180 separately. So this could be 90 and 90. and this one could be 120 and 60. They are not related across. All right, if you have an isosceles trapezoid, though, then you have a line of symmetry here. So these are equal, these are equal, and these two are consecutive, so they add up to 180. So this one has no marks, so all we can do is know that those add up to 180. We get 120. We don't know anything else about this one. This one has marks here. That's why they can ask about this one, because there'd be a line of symmetry. So this would fold over and match up here. They're called base angles. And this angle at D would also have to be 105. All right, and then about the segments, we talked about a median of a trapezoid, okay? Median just means middle, and to find the middle, you average. So you add the shortest one at the top, the longest one at the bottom, and then you're going to end up dividing by 2 to find the middle. If we add those, we get 20.8. Hope I added that right. Divide by 2 and we get 10.4. So that middle question mark is 10.4. You add the top, bottom, set it, divide by 2 to find the middle one. Sorry. Number 13, I can show you 2 ways to do this one. The easy way is just to figure out the pattern. 31 to 27, they subtracted 4. You could subtract 4 again, and 27 minus 4 is 23. So this top one has to be 23. Your geometry teacher may have taught you the algebra, okay? And that's that the top plus the bottom divided by 2 is supposed to be the middle or the median. Well, we'd have x plus 31 divided by 2 equals 27. To get rid of this 2 down here, you'd multiply. Over here, they'd divide out. You'd get 27 times 2 is 54. Minus 31 is 23. I think mine is much faster, okay? Figure out what they did. They subtracted 4, so you subtract 4 again. All right. So here, if I know the top and the bottom, 31 plus 21 divided by 2 has to be the median in the middle. Well, if I add those, I get 52. Divided by 2 is 26. Okay, but that doesn't really give me x. X is not 26, guys. 26 is how long this segment is. So you have to say x plus 18 equals 26. Subtract the 18, you get x equals 8. So that when you plug an 8 back in there, you'd get 26 for the whole median. Be really careful. All right, let me see if I can make this guy bigger. This is talking about, again, an isosceles trapezoid. These are equal. R to T is this diagonal going all the way across, and SU is this diagonal going all the way across. And if you look at the properties of trapezoids in your ISN or your notebook, not sure what page trapezoids are on. I should know that, but diagonals are equal. So you would do 22 equals 10x plus 2. Okay? If I solve that real fast, you would get x is 2. So as long as you write down this, you should remember how to do these, okay? You don't have to solve it on your review. You will have to solve it on the quiz. All right, this one has a lot of stuff written on here. And it's kind of like this on the quiz, so you got to be careful, okay? It says this is a rectangle. The first thing it gives you to find x is something about FU and OR, and they are diagonals, so the diagonals are equal. So we have 2x minus 3 equals x plus 12. So we get x equals 15, and we did that. But then it talks with the same picture, because I don't have a lot of extra room. It says PRU is 20 degrees. PRU is down here. All right, I'm going to redraw it a little bit bigger so that we can talk about all these. But when you have this picture, remember there's a line of symmetry here. So it folds and these match up, and these match up, and these match up, and these match up, okay? Because there's also a line of symmetry here, so all the ones on the top match the bottom. So when we put this 20 degrees in here that they give us here, it wants to know what OUR would be. OUR is here. Well, that 20 matches this 20, and if it's a rectangle, this is a 90, so OUR is 90 minus 20, or 70, and that means there's a whole bunch of 70s and 20s and 90s in this picture. So this one was 70. FRP is this, which we just said is the same as that one, so it's 70. FOR is this one up here, right in there, and it's alternate interior with this 20, because basically everything's a 20 or a 70 at the corners to add up to 90, so this one is a 20. This is the one that's tricky, I'm guessing, because it's got this star here. It says FPO. FPO is this whole thing up here, and I'm coloring yellow. Well, remember all these were 20? So if I draw this triangle in real quick, and I take it and I slide it over here, it had a 20 up here, it had a 20 down here, and we're looking for this one. Triangles add up to 180. So 180 minus 20 leaves 140. All right, I'm thinking you're going to have to pause and write some of that down, but that's the idea for FPO, and rectangles have a lot of things the same. Basically, just remember that everything was a right angle in the corner, and then those lines of symmetry mean there's lots of things the same. All right, and I hope you remember this. Do you remember this? That when you have a square, everything in here is either 45 or 90. Okay. So all of these are 45, 45, 45, 45, 45, 45, 45, 45, 45. All of these are 90. These corners were 90, and this whole thing was a 90, and this whole thing was a 90, all the way around. So everything's either 45 or 90. So it says BRA, which would be the whole thing here. So that's a 90. BPR, if I trace out, is this one. So that's a 90. The first one was that one. Okay, BPT, that's this one, another 90. And then BAT is this guy, and that's the 45, okay? Now, on your quiz, I could ask you for 3 of the 45s and 2 of the 90s, or 1 of the 90s and 3 of the whatever. But don't think that they're going to be the same exact answers on the quiz. You got to read which angles they're talking about. All right, and last one, I think. Am I right? Yeah, this is the last one. There's a rhombus question, and on a rhombus, all of these are the same length. And these guys, so there's two lines of symmetry, remember? There's a line of symmetry here that cuts all these in half, including this line segment is cut in half. And then there's also a line of symmetry going this way. So these angles are equal here and here. And all the segments on the outside are equal. So what do we have? First it says find x. That's right up here. And it's talking about angle PQT, which is up here, and RQT, which is the other half over here. So these are equal. So we have 3x plus 5 equals 5x minus 17. And again, if you don't want to solve it, just make sure you know how to set it up. So as long as you know those are equal, you should be able to find x. Got 11. Then there's all this business about segments, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have to use Pythagorean theorem at some point. PT is 40, it says right here. So there's another 40 over here. Do they ask us for TR? Yes, they do. And do they ask us for PR? Nope, the whole thing would be 80 if we needed to know it. Okay, the other one they give us is that P to Q is 50. Well, that means all the way around the outsides are 50. So RS is a 50, and QR is a 50. And then they finally get to the Pythagorean theorem question. They want QT, this little one. So I'm going to take this triangle right there and slide him out. And we had a 50 here, and we had a 40 here, and we need to find this, which is going to be QT. So I have, if I call that x, I have leg squared plus leg squared is the 40. The hypotenuse is the 50. Whoops, that's a squared. So to solve, I do minus 40 squared. So I have 50 squared minus 40 squared. 50 squared minus 40 squared is 900. And some of you could do that in your head, but the square root of 900, whoops, I'm doing it and then not typing it, is 30. So we had x squared equals 900, and then when we square rooted, we got 30, and that was this remaining piece here. So on the picture, there'd actually be a 30 up there and a 30 down here. The whole thing would be 60. All right, so now you're going to take the quiz, and it's going to have these same kind of questions. Please do your very best.